In this tutorial, I'm going to talk to you about how you can set up a class and configure it for registering journeymen through the sales module. There's another help section on how to do this with apprentices, but it's different. The main difference between setting a class up for apprentice registration through the sales module versus journeyman registration through the sales module is the fact that underneath the Students tab in the Setup area, apprentices must be added to the class first. We'll start over here under the Setup in the Training module and the class description. You do need to make sure that the class is open, it's not canceled. Secondly, underneath the dates, you need to make sure that there's a class date that is specified. Now underneath the students, you do need to tell trade school that there is room for them, and how you do that is through specifying the number of students that there's room for in the class under the capacity field. Right now we have one student, but there's nothing in the capacity, so it says that available seats is -1 up here at the top. So let's go ahead and say that 5 students can take this class, and as we click around you'll see that that number updates. And then once we've made sure that there's seats available in the class, now we can move on to the cost section. So here you need to make sure that you specify, just like with apprentice classes, that there's a journeyman registration item. Let's say that there's a $10 fee for journeyman registration. In that case, I would go ahead and I would add a custom product, and it would be a registration product. You enter in your own categories according to your own chart of accounts and your accounting software. And here we'll say for the name is just going to be Journeyman Registration. And the cost could be 0 if you don't charge your journeyman for the class. You still need to do this, but you would just put a 0 cost. We'll say it's going to be $10. Now here, just like with the apprentice registration, you need to specify that this is a journeyman cost and it's a registration item. In order for the sales module to work with journeyman registration, you need to make sure that there's at least one cost item that is a journeyman registration item. It can be the same as one of the apprentice registration items. So for instance, this programmable logic controllers workbook, if you edited that, you could specify that as the journeyman cost and registration item. Here we've just segregated it out so that you know that you can have different cost items that apply to a journeyman versus an apprentice. Once that's done, you're now ready to go ahead and use the sales module to register a journeyman. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll go over to the sales module and we'll create a brand new transaction. And we'll go ahead and select our journeyman. And we'll go ahead and we'll add a registration item and we'll select journeyman. And here you'll be able to see our test apprentice class down at the bottom. Now we could filter by class number or by class name. We select that test apprentice class, and when you register a journeyman, it allows you to confirm whether they're a member and put their update their information. And when you're done, you can click continue. This class is for members only. That was a setting. I'm going to hit cancel on this. If you go back over to the training and under setup and cost, there's an option here to say this class is available for non-members. If not, you need to put their membership number, IBW or union membership number. And if there's a special fee for non-members, you can specify that here as well. In fact, we'll go ahead and say that for non-members, this is going to be a $25 fee, not the $10 fee. So we'll go back to registration and we'll click edit this transaction and we'll try this one more time. We'll say it's a journeyman registration and we'll type the name of the class, which was the test apprentice class. We select that, we hit continue. We didn't allow this class for non-members, so let's go ahead and under the cost settings, we'll say available to non-members. And we'll go ahead in the sales module and register this one more time. Hit continue, and now it adds not only does it add the fee for the journeyman registration, but it adds the extra non-member dollar amounts for a total of $25. We'll say this was cash in the amount of $25. And when we post this to close the transaction, not only do we get a receipt, But if we go back into the training module and we look at setup, and under the students tab, you can see that that journeyman was automatically added to the class and the seats available were updated. Furthermore, under the attendance, you'll see that journeyman there, and if you click on that journeyman to go into their master user record, you'll see underneath their sales that there's now an invoice of cash of $25 for that particular class that they registered for. So everything is synchronized and all the data is kept underneath that user's record so that you can easily have access to their history. And I'm going to scroll down to that actual invoice, which is down here at the bottom. And that completes the tutorial for setting up a class for Journeyman Registration through the sales module.